Welcome back to Danny Rants. Today I have a Melbourne music legend. Some would say a music queen, but her name is Laura King. How are you, Laura? Thank you for coming down today.
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I appreciate it. I've been chasing you for about a year too, so now I've got you across from me.
And I almost cancelled again today.
You've been a little bit
I was
sick?
like, nah. Yeah, I've been a bit sick.
Yeah, I think it's getting around. The weather just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's the first round of winter colds.
Yeah, I had it last week. I'm still kind of paying for it. I have like a bit of yellow under my eyes. So if you see it, I don't have a fucked liver. Everyone keeps thinking that I've got something wrong with my liver. Cool, so let's start.
Yep.
Before you become Laura King, the viral sensation, in the early, so I would say 2016, 2018?
I think 2018, but my biggest year was 2019. That's where I played the bigger kind of shows like Babylon, the Babylon closing set.
Which is that video that went nuts, right?
Yeah. I'm Feeling It track at the end.
Yep.
Sunset Brothers. And then the picnic, Electronic in the Bowl with, so it was Cara Kick Drum, Kitty, me and Nina. That was huge. That was I heard somewhere that was the biggest attendance for an all-female lineup in history.
And I think anyone who's watching this who knows who you are, knows those videos.
Yeah.
I can remember watching them over and over again too.
Yeah.
So before that happens, how do you get into music? Where do you come from? Where does it all start?
So I've always played piano and sang in primary school. Loved not classical, but more kind of chilled music. Nothing electronic at that point. But then went into high school and obviously started clubbing underage and was still kind of playing piano and singing and being in choirs and stuff. But then started clubbing and realized how much I loved dancing, and would see the people DJing and be like, "What's going on up there?" I want to control the music kind of thing. So I was always very musically inclined growing up. And then fast forward a few years, and when I was 22, I bought my first decks and just set them up in my room and just started playing. I think I started playing definitely started playing house, and disco to start with. And I played my first set at St. James in Geelong when I was 22, 23. And from I'd been practicing for 3 months before then, in my room, and then got my first set there. I was playing the graveyard shift at 7 a.m. St. James in Geelong.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then from there, it just kind of I don't know, it just kind of took off.
Spiraled.
It just spiraled from there, yeah.
So before that, what clubs were you going to? What sort of venues in Melbourne?
I was going to Tramp.
Like everybody?
Yeah. Tramp, Revolver, pretty much just between those two clubs. I just loved, I love the old school Melbourne kind of bangers. I just love all this dirty, stripped back, orchestrated. You know much I love orchestrated.
Yeah.
I think everyone
It's a shared love.
Yeah. So, those were the clubs I was going to, going to Fake Tits and then partying all the way into Jungle and then Jungle and then Sunday go to Revs.
And so you're well known for your versatile DJing, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say you have a genre. Someone say techno or this or that. The thing that I noticed about you when you first sort of came out and everyone knew who you were was that you're playing all different BPMs, all different styles.
Yeah.
You just sort of play, it seems whatever you like. How and what inspired you to do that? Because at the point, I know now this is really common. Everyone does it, right?
Yeah.
But at that time, it was not a thing. You were a house DJ, you were a disco DJ, you were a, your bangers DJ. You sort of start making noise, but you're just playing whatever the fuck you think is cool.
I think because I came from I didn't really come from I'm from Geelong, so none of my friends were DJs. It wasn't I didn't know what you should and what you shouldn't do. I just literally was a young girl from Geelong, started getting booked in Melbourne. So there was no one for me to I wasn't really taking notes off anyone being oh, well, they're doing that, so maybe I shouldn't or whatever. I was just kind of thrown into it and I just did my thing and it was resonating with people, so it gave me the confidence to just keep doing it. And I've always been someone that really can't settle for one genre. I just get bored. I just have so many things that I love that it's important for me to try to fit it all in some way. And also to try to tell a bit of a story with my sets as well. Start at one point, go into a different phase and then end at a different point. I don't know, that's just something that I really love to do.
Yeah. And that's just from being a music fan and listening to all different genres from the clubs you're going to?
Yeah, I think all my different experiences over the last 10, 15 years in clubs and festivals and around the world and house parties and everything, I've just taken little bits from everywhere and all the bits that I've loved, I've created I guess somewhat of an original sound. But I think that's cool because every single person has a unique expression because everyone's experienced different things. So I think there's just a place for everyone to express something different.
And it's surprising for me to hear that, like when you talked about when you were younger, that you weren't necessarily into dance music until you got a bit older, because your caliber of stuff is also too, like you throw back to 90s. And again, this is really common now, but this wasn't when you were doing it.
No, when I first started, I feel like I was playing vocal edit stuff, but only the stuff that I could find, like when I was digging way back to like earlier tribal stuff where they were putting little hip hop vocals in over the top, but then it kind of went away. But that stuff was there before this whole new trend of vocal edits. So you just had to really dig for it.
Yeah, I getcha.
Yeah.
So that's where it was sort of inspired, because you just liked the sound of it and you were trying to find, didn't care what year it came from?
Yeah, I just loved digging for music. I was just so exciting because I didn't come from that time. I was just like, what is this? What is this? Oh my gosh. Like, you know, I guess I missed that kind of, that trend in like the early 2000s.
It's a purist thing. Like that's what it is, right? Like people just sit there and go, okay, well you got to pick a style, then you got to learn how to DJ. And it's kind of cool. It's a cool origin story, because yours is like, well, I just like all these different genres, so I'm just going to mash them together. Yeah. And you do this thing that's like super creative and catches attention from everybody, because everyone's like, what the fuck? She's playing everything from the 90s to trance to techno to it's super, super cool. Yeah. So you play St. James and then sort of where do you break through after that?
So I was playing St. James, then I think my first Melbourne booking was at Circus. It was called Flipside on a Friday, so I played that. And then I got a message from Kyle pretty soon after that, and he was just like, oh, do you know, like, you know, like he was really intrigued and he really believed in me from the start and wanted to, get me bookings. And I think it was, what was the agency called before Adam? I think it was, Alter. Alter.
Alter, yeah. I did the logo, my company.
And
so this is for anyone who doesn't know, this is Kyle Hand from Hardware, but he's been working with Richie for probably a decade now. So.
Yeah, so Kyle, I think he was working for Hardware when he first.
He was, yep.
Yeah. So I don't think he was officially running a booking agency then, but he definitely believed in certain artists, and like it all just kind of formed into a bit of an agency. And so, I was working with them, and like they were getting me bookings everywhere, and definitely predominantly in Melbourne, just all different clubs. Like I've never really had a residency or anything like that. It's always just been club shows, events, festivals, and then all the bigger Hardware shows that they were involved with, like Pure, Picnic. Like I did Picnic 6 years in a row. So I guess that kind of felt like a residency for me. I just loved Picnic. I feel like that was a huge stepping stone and a huge platform for me to be able to like grow my audience, and really like Picnic being more of like a performance kind of for the artist, not just like a club show where you have to make it sure that it's curated specifically for the night. I felt like I could really express myself. So I feel like Picnic for me was really, really special, and I'm really thankful for that.
And going back to that first viral moment that we sort of discussed, we began the podcast, was Babylon, right? So the Babylon booking, you go there. Can you run us through how that all sort of happened? Because things would have changed pretty rapidly from then.
Oh, it was insane because, so I was the closing set on a side stage. So I kind of thought, there's a lot of internationals. So the locals naturally do sometimes have to step back because the deals with internationals are that they've got to play a certain time, certain slot, politics. That's fine. So Kyle and Richie put me on the closing set for the side stage, and I was like, I don't know, like I'm not that happy with that slot. Like I was all like, I want to be the headliner at that point. Whereas like I've changed my attitude now, but back then, and I was like a little bit disappointed. And then I didn't realize that the whole festival was going to close, and that every single person at the festival was going to come to that set. And it ended up just being the most like, it was literally like a dream. Like everything was just all hazy and smoky, and the vibes were so high because it was the end of the festival, and everyone was just like, I don't know, everyone was just like, all their cups were full, and they were just, it's like everything was vibrating. Like it was insane. And it ended up just being like one of the best sets I ever played, and it just went so well. And then had all my like best friends up there and like in the front, like people were like getting emotional, like the messages, like, that some messages like that it like altered their brain chemistry, and like they'll never forget that core memory, like just such nice things. And from then I guess the videos went viral, and I just ended up getting more and more bookings.
Yeah, because that was the thing. It's like, and again, you go back, so you're talking 7 years ago, but so like that.
God,
in
7 years ago, that's insane.
But in my memory, it was the first time I'd really seen from locals, you know, like a local artist blow up overnight from viral videos. And it was like everyone was sharing it. Obviously the song you said before that I'm Feeling It was like at the time was an absolute heater. But
like
then,
I feel like that song, like what year was that song released? Because it definitely was huge with Sunset Brothers. Sunset Brothers, and it was always called In the Air or Track 13. And yeah, I hadn't heard it ever before, and it was quite old. So I think it must have had its time in the heyday, and then it just kind of recycles because it's such a track. Yeah,
and there was a few remixes that just continued. It was like the song that didn't die.
Yeah, it doesn't. It never will. It's so
it's a
good.
banger.
It just makes you feel so good. Like you can't not smile when you hear that track.
100%. Hopefully someone brings it back again. They need to.
Yeah, definitely. Someone will.
Yeah. So being sort of one of the first sort of viral local artists to then go through there, you went from playing sort of, you know, smaller club gigs, and then you start doing stuff like, you know, we talked about Picnic.
Yeah.
You started playing some of these Pure shows. How was that jump? Like, you know, traditionally some people will go through this sort of like ebbs and flows and have to like grind, not to say you didn't grind at all, but it was like you jumped from 1,000 people rooms to 10,000 people festivals. Like, how was that to deal with?
I thought that's just how it happened, because like honestly I feel like I grind more now than I did then. Like it was quite fast, which I'm thankful for because it definitely gave me a lot of like momentum. But I don't know, I wouldn't say, I feel like I was just so confident back then. I just had my people around me, and I wouldn't say that I was just ready for it. I loved it and I wanted it, and I just was really sure of myself and what I wanted to. It was also exciting, you know, like. So yeah, I would say that it wasn't, I don't know, it didn't feel like, it felt natural. It didn't feel like, oh, this is all happening too fast. Like it felt like a really natural progression, even though it maybe did seem like it did happen fast.
Yeah, that's cool. Like it's like, I think it's one of those things, it's when you sort of think about something or you dream about something and then it happens, and what they say, it's preparation and readiness at the same time come together.
Definitely. Yeah, because I guess I was always daydreaming about it, but I guess maybe not for that long. It really did happen. Like I was always wanting to be a DJ and that kind of thing, and then that was happening. Like I still remember getting the booking for my first gig at St. James, and like that feeling was like the best feeling ever. But yeah, as for the progression going into bigger shows, I feel like it just was just going. Like I didn't have time to think. It was just happening, and I was just loving it, and it just felt right, and everyone was getting around it, and yeah, it was a really cool time.
Were you getting nervous? More so because some of those shows, like you play Sydney Mine Music Bowl not far long after Babylon. Like that's one of the most iconic venues in Australia.
I know. I honestly feel like I get more nervous these days. Like I just was young and just confident, and I didn't realize I just didn't realize what I was doing was so big. Because like I said, like where I come from, it wasn't like I was around it all the time. I just didn't like understand how huge it was at the time for some reason. And I'm thankful for that, because now I look back and like, that is like, you're a psycho. Like
I'd agree with you.
Like, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I just felt safe and just felt right.
Yeah, that's good. And I guess you can attribute that to like a good team and friends around you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How important do you think that is?
It's very important. Yeah. And it does get hard, because as you get older and like people in your life are doing different things, and like they can't always come to shows. So like it does end up getting like pretty lonely. Like you're traveling a lot and doing your thing, and yeah, sometimes you just want like a friend there, or like just someone just for some comfort. But it's all a part of it. I think having a team would definitely be preferred.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's something we talk about on heaps, and it's like recurring that people talk about, you know, people watching from the sidelines, they're sitting there going, well, that must be amazing. But when you are traveling alone by yourself all the time, a lot of the times you're staying in like hotels that are like near the airport. You're not necessarily staying in, like you're there for 12 hours, 14 hours. It's like, it sounds weird for someone kind of looking in, but it is. Like lonely is a term.
But every job has its pros and cons. And it's, for me, like I actually quite enjoy the hotel alone time, because I take like 5 hours to get ready, so I can't talk to anyone anyway. And then when I get back, it's like I'm so energized and like happy from the set. So like it's kind of like it's peaceful, and it's nice just to kind of reflect on how it went. But it's more just going to the shows. Like sometimes you don't like know anyone there. Like you've literally not a single person. Sometimes it's like overwhelming. But so it would be nice to like have a buddy at those points. But, you know, once you start playing and you meet the promoters, like I try to make a point of like building a connection with the promoters so I actually have a little bit of rapport with them before I get there and stuff. So, but yeah, it's been fun.
And you meet the same people over and over again, so you start to build relationships, right? Like I know for myself when I fly
I feel like there's always new people around. Like there's always new people in the scene. There's still like places I haven't played. Like there's actually quite a lot of places to play in Australia.
Yeah, true. So you go from, you're living in Geelong girl obviously, and then you move up to, I'm pretty sure Byron Bay or Noosa, I think.
I moved up to Queensland to Budrum.
Budrum, okay. Where's that?
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's just below Noosa. So it's like 20 minutes below Noosa.
And so how was that, like jumping from, you know, from Melbourne to Queensland during COVID to sort of, I guess, get away from the lockdowns and being a musician? Was it good or bad?
It was pretty bad, yeah. I mean, it was fine for what it was because everyone was suffering anyway during COVID, so at least it was nice to be in the warm weather, even though like I'm a bit of an inside person. But I was working at this like really cute little fruit and veggie, like organic fruit and veggie shop, so that was nice. Like it was a big change, but yeah, it was fine. It was hard. Like it was, you know,
isolating.
It was isolating. I didn't feel, it was depressing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what was going to happen? What am I doing today? What am I doing tomorrow? Like, is everything going to work out?
Because that's a good point. Like you talk about 2019 was your biggest year. 2018, you sort of have these like super viral moments. 2020, the world closes down. You're sort of in this 2 year of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like, can you run me through when the COVID lockdowns actually happened, what you were going through?
Oh God, how much time do we have? It was just, I was in two minds. I was like, do I study something as a backup just in case we're not going to be, if things aren't going to go back to how they were? And I tried doing that and I hated that. Couldn't focus. Like music's been the only thing I've ever been able to focus on ever. Like my brain doesn't allow for me to focus on something that I'm not like wholeheartedly passionate about. I think they call it ADHD. And then, you know, I did a few restaurant jobs and I was just, it was just, I didn't know what was going to happen. So it was like a lot of trying to just, you know, stick at it and make music and mix and just keep a positive mindset of being like, all right, it's going to come back. It's going to come back. But it didn't feel like it was.
No, it didn't.
It felt like it was over.
And the first, like the 3 months it happened, I was like, okay, it's going to stop. And then it just kept going.
Yeah.
And then it was this on, off. And the other part, like people don't talk about, but I've brought it up myself before, was the identity, right? Like you sort of, you are a DJ. For me, I was a promoter.
Yeah.
I'd been this guy who'd been a promoter for 12, 13 years. And overnight, I'm just a guy who works in a bottle shop, you know? Like, and I understand that might sound like, you know, first world problems, but it's if you're a plumber or electrician, you're a plumber or electrician. Like, it becomes a part of your identity or personality.
Totally.
For us, it's like all of a sudden it's like, well, I've just spent all this time on doing this thing. And now what? What's next? And it didn't feel as though it was going to come back. No. And to be honest, it hasn't actually fully come back the way it was beforehand.
No, it's different, but I would say that it's like, it's getting close. Well, I don't know. I feel like it's still good. It's different, but it's still good.
I think the club stuff is sort of like dropped off, but like the actual rave scene and the one-off events, which you do a lot of, is popping right off.
Yeah. The club scene is definitely different now I think about it.
Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, when it started coming back to normal, I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I wasn't expecting to get, like, I feel like I'm back where I was in a way of like, getting the same amount of gigs and like people like kind of knowing my music and stuff. And I just really didn't think it was going to ever get back there. I thought I'd had my like heyday and like it was just going to,
And some artists did though. Like there's some artists that like I feel so bad for that blew up like just before and then they had to restart and then it didn't work for them, you know? So it's an actual realization because there was a lot of people who came back bigger, stronger, and there's a lot of people who like, you know, didn't. Yeah. So there's a lot of artists out there that sort of had that moment and then weren't able to back it back up. So when it starts to come back again, you've gone through COVID, you've gone through these uncertainties, you know, you're battling what's next for me and it starts to come back. What did that feel like?
Well, it's really interesting because I think what happened is because I am like a little bit older, not that much older, but you know, I'm in my 30s. So it was like I was this younger person when I peaked in 2019 and like everyone was kind of my age that were partying. And then as the 2 years went on, it's like I kind of got like a refresh, like a brand kind of reset when I started playing again because then everyone who'd turned 18 and 19 had never been out before and didn't know me. So they just thought I was appearing out of nowhere. So it was almost like a refresh for me in a way, which worked in my favor because, it was like I don't know how to explain it. It was
rebirth almost.
A rebirth, but I had all this experience. I knew what I was doing, so I wasn't like just starting out. But to some people, they thought I was just starting out. So I was a little bit more I was like a novelty to some people, whereas I've actually been playing for like 6 years already. So yeah, I think it worked in my favor. So
do you remember your first big gig that you came back to during that period, and you were like, "We're on"?
I do. I literally just got like triggered when you said that. Yeah, I played at the Timber Yard. For a New Year's Day gig, and it was a huge gig, and I was just a mess. Like, I was so scared. I was terrified to play. And I remember they had, was it a dangerous goods party? Like when they first started, and they had flames, like fire, and
definitely was dangerous good party that had flames.
And the fire was so hot on my face, and I was freaking out. I was even playing late. There wasn't even that many people there, but I was just so anxious because I hadn't been around anyone. I was. Yeah, like had to pop a couple of Valium. Like I was freaking out. Had to have a friend there with me. I was like an anxious mess.
That's cool to hear that. Like, you know, it's cool to hear a different perspective of like how that went, because you're playing in front of 10,000 people at these massive shows at the Bowl. You're doing all these massive festivals beyond the Valley, Pitch, the whole lot, and then you're coming back and playing in front of 700 people, for example, and you're nervous. You have to have some Valium to calm down. So it's a cool way to like sort of show the impact that actual period did, not just you as an artist, but also to you mentally through that stop-start sort of momentum.
Yeah, and I don't think personally, I don't think I've ever been the same since COVID. Like I am definitely getting there, but that kind of, I don't know, that confidence and what's the word? Like confidence and free-spiritedness and just like, I don't know, a zest for the whole thing before COVID, it's different now. I don't know, something changed. I still absolutely love it, but I definitely get more nervous now.
Yeah, and I get that.
So I guess it's like something, when you go through traumatic things, then like, for example, when the first gig back and I was petrified, like those little things I feel like break you down and like stay with you. So naturally, like, yeah, you're triggered by it when you go to play again. So, I mean, it's fine, you carry on and you get it done and it's always fine. And the more you do something, the easier it becomes. But yeah, there was definitely a shift in something. And I'm sure a lot of people feel that.
And that thing is too, is like in time, you're talking, say like the last 40, 50 years that there's been DJs. No one just had to have 2 years off forced and then come back again.
Because that's where, like when you're just in the flow, like I was saying, like I was just in the flow. I wasn't even thinking about how big the crowd was. Like it was just all happening and everything was just one thing after the other. And I didn't have time to stop and think about how nervous I might be or how big the crowd is or how huge this thing is that I'm building. So yeah, but then those 2 years break, that's some time to think.
100%. So the other one's like your stage presence is like unmatched, right? You've got like this, you look at the big European girls, like girls you've been able to grace the stage with, you very much so have the similar sort of stage presence. Is that something that was planned or is it just sort of happens naturally?
That I've always been a performer growing up. So like I've always loved singing and playing the piano and just like, I don't know. I've always loved performing. So I just love dancing. So for me, like when I'm playing tracks, like they're tracks that I love to listen to and I love to dance to. And it's just like DJing when I'm up there and like I can have a couple of drinks, like that's my time to have fun. Like I feel like the non-fun part is like during the week, like a lot of preparation, like I'm taking my own bookings now. So a lot of admin, like it's, I'm always working. And then like that little couple of hours on the weekend where I get to play, like that's the time just to like have fun. And I guess that kind of comes across like, I'm on stage performing, but it's not like I need to make sure I'm doing something. It's just like what's coming out naturally. So
I think that authenticness is what people love, right?
Definitely. But yeah, for some people, like I don't think they like dancing. I think they're just like in the zone and their head down. But yeah, for me, like I like looking at people in the crowd and like seeing them like happy and like, just like a little nod like, yeah, that track was fat. Like it's nice. Like it's just, it's a nice way to connect.
And like you talk about how you're playing songs that you love, right? I bump into you all the time out in the streets, out in like, well, I shouldn't say the streets, but in clubs and events and festivals. So you're definitely a punter, right?
I am definitely a punter.
And I feel like that must be a trip out for some people who have gone and watched your shows, like your headliner shows, like they've seen you play in these big spaces and then you're next to them at 161, like how is that for people when they bump into you and you're just out there being a punter?
Sometimes it's like they're like shock and horror, like, oh my God, Laura King. Like it's so cute and like a little photo and stuff. Then other times people don't even recognize me. Like I've always been a party girl. So for like people that are in the music scene, it's not, strange to see me out. But yeah, I guess for some fans, it probably is like
because you don't often see it. That's the thing. Like when you talk to people of your caliber, like they don't. They're sort of, especially these days. Again, I know I keep referring to these days, but those artists that are doing like the Timby Art shows, like stuff like you do, kind of hidden away. They get to play once a year, you know, like
as in like internationals.
Well, no, even locals. Like you got guys like Skin on Skin, or he's out and about a little bit, but like. Sam Alfred's out, also another guy who's out a lot, but there's other guys like Stum, like I've never bumped into him out, you know, like so they're not just wandering around necessarily, just kind of at a club, hanging out with their friends, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, how do you get into it if you're not, or maybe they just like grew up and stopped partying.
I think it might be strategy from their management and stuff too, but I think at the end of the day, like you, as you said before, you're a punter first, and you continue to be a punter because you fucking love it.
And that's where I get my inspiration, like, I mean, just like house parties and kick-ons, like some of the songs I've been shown like have sent me into rabbit holes of new genres.
100%.
And like that's why I, incorporate so many different sounds, because it's just I've experienced so much in my life already in terms of music that I'm like, it needs to, like I love it all. Like it needs to be, I need to include it, you know.
You're a festival goer too. It's obviously still being a punter, but you do go to other festivals.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer those bigger shows in Melbourne in the city, or do you like the ones out in the forest?
Like just like attending.
Wow, yeah, both ways, like playing and attending.
Attending, I probably like the smaller ones, for me personally. But then playing like BTV, like they're some of my favorite sets of all time. So yeah, I think for playing both bigger and smaller, they're both. The bigger ones are obviously huge, and like it's a whole other thing of preparation wise. Like I'll prepare for something like that over like 2 months, like making sure I've got the perfect tracks all together and like they tell the perfect story. Whereas a smaller doof or a smaller show, I'm going to just kind of have a folder of music, and then I'll have the flexibility just to free roam through that folder and like just kind of go into a flow state and whatever comes out. So that then produces a different kind of set to something that I'm highly curating. So yeah, they're both cool and they both have different sounds and experiences.
So the preparation, what does that look like?
The preparation, so I'm always listening to music, always. Like that's, like I DJ full time, so like looking for music is a part of my job. So yeah, every day I'm going through tracks and I'll put them into just like playlists, just like kind of general playlists. So then when I'm preparing for an actual set, then I know all the music's in there, and then I can start to like sift through it more finely, download what I want, and then I can like put it in order. And I'm a very visual person, so like I like to imagine what the dance floor is going to be like, and that's kind of how I prepare for a set. Like I imagine myself on the dance floor. I'm like, oh, so if I start here, and like I'm imagining like they're going to start warming up, and because I play a lot before internationals. That's just, like I said earlier, that's just kind of what happens when internationals come over. They naturally get the headline slot, and then they put a local on before that is still a big local. But yeah, it's not going to be the main slot. So a lot of the time I am warming up for internationals, so I can't really play like a headline slot. Sometimes that's what I'm known for. So yeah, so it's a lot of preparation I have to start somewhere because I'm building it up, but I need to make sure that it pulls back down for the next person. So yeah, it requires like really thinking about how the set needs to be planned.
And do you do the first song first or the last song first?
The first song. Yeah. I think a lot of the time, unless like I find like a crazy banger, like that's a closing track, that's just going in the folder. But yeah, for most of the time I like to start at the start and finish at the end.
Cool. So let's get into some of the funner stuff, right?
Okay.
So some of your gigs you've played, like is there one that's most memorable to you that's your favorite gig that you've played? Let's start in Victoria and we'll work through Australia and the world.
In Victoria, favorite set of all time. Wow. It's hard because there's a difference between like playing the favorite set and then listening back to what is now my favorite set and recording. So yeah, is it more like something that my favorite set that I'm like actually playing in the moment, or my favorite set like?
We've got time, so let's do both.
Okay, favorite set of all time in terms of feeling when I was playing it. I would have to say, I don't want people to take this as gospel because like you can say something now, but then I could go home and think of a different one.
That's totally fair, yeah.
I mean, but just because we were just talking about it and it just does come to mind Babylon 2019, like just the energy there. Were you there?
No, I wasn't there, no.
the energy there was just like, I don't know.
Everyone was talking about it though. Like that was the highlight of the festival. As you said, there was all these internationals and everyone was talking about Laura King's closing set at that festival. So I can imagine it was like the amount of chat about it, it must have been off its head.
It was just like electric. Like I can't describe it. And the tracks that I was playing as well, I didn't play any new tracks, all old tracks, like all early 2000s tribal. Like at that stage, I wasn't playing over. I was still playing fast for that time. I was playing like 140, 145, and that was quick then.
Yeah, 140 was super quick then. Like 128 to 124 was normal.
Yeah. 128 was just stock standard techno speed, like no faster than that. Like 130, it's like, whoa, like you're pushing it. And then I started playing like 140, 145 tribal stuff, and it was just like chugging along and like that in the bush. And I don't know, it was just, it was wild.
Sick. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And what about like biggest show you played at Victoria?
Well, that was pretty big. Like that was like, how many people were at Babylon?
Oh, probably like 6,000 to 8,000, I would have said.
Like that's a fairly big crowd.
That's a massive crowd. Yeah.
Bigger than that, like BTV, I've loved both of those. BTV 2022, I feel like in that when I was playing it, I was like loving it. Like it's just, I knew it was landing. Like I could tell like everyone was vibing. Whereas the one just being, I couldn't really tell like, because I think people were expecting me to play like all vocal bangers, and like that's just, I've kind of moved away from that. Like I've just, I'm always evolving and I'm always going to play what I'm feeling at the moment. I think that's important. And so I just kind of felt like it wasn't landing because I didn't go out. Like BTV sets, naturally people usually are going to just play all their biggest tracks. Like it's like they're playing a party set. But I was like, nah, I'm going to strip it all back. And like the sun was setting, so it was like getting really like dusty and, going into, from day to night. So the mood was changing. And I'm like, I'm going to strip things back and make it like kind of that groove, techno, tribal stuff at the start. And just like warm people back up again into the harder stuff. And I just wasn't sure how it was going to go down, but like that's what I'd planned for. That's what I wanted to do. So it was like feeling a bit uncomfortable at the time. But then when like it was over and I got all the feedback and I watched the video because we filmed the whole thing, I was like, nah, this is sick. Like I'm so glad that I stuck to that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool how you kind of explained that exact situation, but at the start of the question, and then you kind of come back full circle on it.
Yeah.
So what about when you're not playing in Melbourne, Victoria, the home state? Is there like a certain place that you love the most, or is there a certain festival you love the most that you've played?
Sydney. I play in Sydney a lot, but it's never just like the one place. I've played at a couple of Dream State festivals in Sydney, which they have at the showgrounds. And they had the techno stage in the Coliseum.
Yeah, I've heard about it,
The Olympic Park. Is that?
Yep.
Oh, no, Showgrounds is Melbourne, Olympic Park's Sydney.
Yeah, but they actually call that space, for whatever reason, they call it the Coliseum at that event.
Yeah, they call it, and it is like a Coliseum, and it's so cool. And in terms of festivals in Sydney, I really love playing in that venue. Like it's really unique, and I've never played anywhere else like that. And Sydney, people like the crowd, like they really, I don't know, it's different to Melbourne. Like they really get into it in terms of dancing. Melbourne, it's a little bit hard. They're a little bit hard to please sometimes.
Chin strokers, I think the term is.
Oh, you said it, not me. But yeah, Sydney people are just like they're more appreciative or something. They're just like, yes, like it's someone here to play. Like I don't know, they just get into it. So that's good. I'm trying to think of a favorite club in Sydney. I just recently played at Chinese Laundry. That was epic. I'd never been there before.
Super iconic venue.
Yeah, super iconic. Like I remember even back in the day, like I think I'd only just turned 18 and then pretty much the lockout laws came in. So I didn't really get to experience the Sydney nightlife back in those days. But people used to always talk about Chinese Laundry and it was always popping up here and there, but just never got booked for it. But yeah, now I feel like that I've gotten a bit older and like people do know that my sound is quite like versatile and I'm not just playing, I don't just have to play vocally bangers. Like I can play everything. And so yeah, just got booked for there and I played a 5-hour set and it was sick. Like the club there is, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and that Chinese Laundry was always famous for people being able to do exactly what you just said. So it was people going in there who were forward-thinking music people, not expecting someone to go in there and play bangers, long sets. A lot of I think a lot of people who come from even overseas, like traditionally if they're the Revolver or there, then it's their favorite places to play.
Totally.
You shared the stage with some massive names. Can you run through some of those names for me?
Yep.
And then second to that, what it was like playing with some of these people and meeting some of these people?
Well, Carl Cox was a massive one, like always a huge fan and actually became like I would say like he's a friend of mine now. Like having proper conversations with him like backstage and him and Richie running Pure and Carl knowing that I was going to be on the lineup and like accepting me as a part of like the Pure family. and, you know, having conversations, picking his brain about things on like the airport transfers and stuff. And I was just like, well, like how is this? Yeah, so that pretty surreal and such a nice guy, super humble, normal guy. I've shared the stage a few times with Nina, but I've been too nervous to talk to her because she's always been like, I talk about her in every interview. She must think I'm such a psycho. I've just always really admired her. So yeah, I do get nervous around her.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so like overseas, you've done like a little bit. Can you run me through some of the stuff you've done over there and some of the people you've met over there too?
So I played in Berlin and in Amsterdam in 2019. They were just smaller shows. And then, so that was 2019. Then I went back that same year for ADE. Kyle and Richie flew me over there as a congratulations for selling out 2 of my all-day raves. So I went over there and met up with them, and I met Rainier Zonneveld and got to play at his – he was doing a 12-hour live set in Amsterdam. I got to play in the side room at his party, so that was amazing.
He's such a nice dude too.
Such a nice guy. Yeah, him and his girlfriend are just like the biggest legends. They're such chillers.
Wild partiers too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I figured that out pretty fast. And then I played in New Caledonia a few times, which is really random, like the techno scene, like the French Polynesia. The techno scene is just like popping off over there. Like they just love it. So I've gone over there a few times, like 3 times, I think, to play. And yeah, that's always amazing because it's, I don't know, it's wild. Have you been to New Caledonia?
I actually have on holidays, yeah, but not to listen to techno.
It's stunning. Like it's such a contrast. Like I'm playing this like techno rave, but then like the white sandy beaches are like right next to us. So yeah.
The thing I found so weird was, and I know this is like so Australian, but I went there on holidays and then nobody spoke English. And I know it sounds silly, like everyone was like, oh, it's a French island, but nobody fucking spoke English. And I really struggled to like get around because I couldn't even talk. I couldn't even order a sandwich.
Yeah. And it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how? Because it kind of seems a little bit like third world.
It's like 2.5 hours from Australia. Like that's the crazy part.
I know. There's a lot of random little things going on. I don't know too much about like the history, but
so it's French found it and settled there, and they basically own it. So that's why they all speak French and stuff. There's no Australian there. I actually had an earache when I was there. They couldn't understand because this is before Google Translate. So I had to go like, I went to like 4 chemists before I found anything because I couldn't find anyone that spoke English.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, cool place. But yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
The fact there's a techno scene there actually blows my mind.
I know, it's so random, but yeah, I really love going over there. And I love that kind of thing. I've got the same kind of relationship with the Tassie crew, Spicy Music, like where you form a relationship with a crew, which doesn't happen that often, and they just keep inviting you back because a lot of people these days want to, you know, can never book the same person twice, got to have fresh people coming in all the time. So it's nice to form like a little bit of like a family vibe with different crews in different parts of, you know, the country or the world, and you get to go back there. So yeah, that's always really nice.
Yeah, you start looking forward to seeing them and stuff.
Yeah.
So a question I was going to ask, and I asked Sunshine this, and her answer was relatively interesting. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but being a female DJ when you first started, do you think it was harder or was it not easier by the term, but like what were the challenges I guess you faced from being a female DJ in traditionally a space that prior to that had been so male dominant?
Honestly, like I actually think that, being a female when I first started out, it was easier for me. Like because there wasn't many females doing it, I felt like, there was like a little bit more of a novelty around it, and people were really wanting, you know, people were getting around the girls. Like it was empowering. So yeah, honestly, I don't really think I felt many challenges. I honestly felt like I was at an advantage being a female. That's how I felt personally. Also probably just like who I am as a person. Like I feel like I am quite confident and maybe masculine in some ways. So I've always, I don't know, kind of always felt like I was one of the boys, but not, you know, obviously I'm not, I'm a woman. But I don't know, I never felt threatened or like I was being dominated by, you know, whatever. I really felt like it was easier, almost, I was at an advantage being a female. Yeah,
that's cool. That's interesting to say that because, you know, you talk about different music scenes and obviously there's a lot of people that there's a lot of backlash on it.
A lot of women have faced so many,
adversities.
Awful things. And I think
dance music in general is super accepting, you know, like you talk about back in the day and like even now, like the LGBTQ community, like without the gay community, dance music doesn't even really exist.
Yeah.
So even like back when I was 18,
Totally.
it was like we were hanging around gay people all the time. This is back before it really was what it is now, like where, times have changed and it's way more progressive.
Yeah.
People who are in dance music, they're traditionally progressive people.
Definitely.
Because they've always been around
100%.
people that were sort of like ostracized.
Yeah.
Or where, so like you talk about like females, males, LGBTQ, POC, in the dance music, on the dance floor. And I don't want to sound like super cliche here, but it's like, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are.
No, there's always an air of open-mindedness around in the music scene.
And that's what makes it special.
I don't want to downplay like other people's experience because I know that a lot of women have had some really unfortunate experiences at the hands of like other men in the industry. So I don't want to disregard them. I've just been super lucky to not have experienced that.
That's good. And it's good to hear that the Australian scene is relatively healthy, and that's been your experience,
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing too is you've gone off and you've done these shows. You did the All Day Laura King stuff. I remember the smiley face thing you had hanging up. I think I wanted to steal it at the time.
I made that from scratch.
I remember I was at Berkshire Courtyard. I was like, can we get access to that? And Kyle's like, nah, Laura made it.
Yeah, literally.
And then now you do your Dreamland stuff. Can you run us through like what was the thought process for both of those parties and like why you decided to start building your own sort of standalone parties that were revolved around you, but they're not just about you, they're a whole encompassing of the Laura King brand.
Yeah. So when I started the All Day Raves they were in 2019, I just wanted a platform for me to be able to curate the whole night, and that was the first time I ever played an extended set. Like my first ever 5-hour set was one of my All Day Raves. And then I did the second one, the same thing. And it was just a nice excuse for me to play the whole time. And like you said before, like I like to cross between different genres, and I've got so many different, I'm very versatile with my style. So I wanted to be able to express that and like go on a proper journey and really stretch the legs. And also be able to put my like styling on everything. And like also if I was going to have some support acts, like choose the people that are like my friends or like people that I really love their music. So it was All Day Raves, and then I did the 2 extended sets, one at Colour Club and one at Bloom. So they did well. And then I had a little break from those, and then I started Dreamland. And Dreamland was just meant to be like low light, no strobe, like kind of dreamy setting. Like I love like styling. I love visual like things like I love art and I love fashion. So I just wanted to try and like incorporate, everything into like my party. So it was truly like a real reflection of who I am. And the Dreamland ones were extended sets again, but I wanted it to be more of like, not such a show, not so much of a show, but more of like a proper club night where everyone's just kind of lost in the music. No one's really looking at the DJ, like even though they do, but that's the effect I was trying to create with them. So I did 2 Dreamland shows. I keep getting mixed up between Dreamland and Dream State. So I did the 2 Dreamland shows, and then I decided, there was a copyright issue with the name. Someone in Queensland already had a festival called Dreamland, even though it wasn't active, but they did own the name. So I had to rebrand that one. So now I'm doing Overdrive. And Overdrive's the new rave concept, and I just did my first 2 last year. I did one in Sydney, one in Melbourne, and I got internationals to come over. So I was partnering with Hardware. So we had Part-Time Killer, Vision, and Gaston Fiore, and they're like my 3 favorite artists at the time. So it was just so cool to have them over and like curate that whole event and connect with them. And I've made friends with them, and like so many good things have come from those relationships. So
that's awesome. So you said before that you're now taking care of your own booking. So you're basically your own manager, your own boss, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that they look to go to a booking agency or management agency or whatnot. What's the challenges been for being by yourself? Because that's not traditionally a path that people take.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not permanent. Like it's just, after leaving Hardware, I was with them for for bookings like maybe 6 or 7 years, but then management 3 years, and I was just ready for a change and just to kind of see where the wind would take me without being with someone. So right now I'm like the dust is just settling and just kind of trying to see like where my path can go without being with an agency. And then, I'm sure that like when the time's right to join with someone else, I'll know. But as for doing it on my own, it's been hard. Yeah, it's very time consuming, and it does blur the lines between like being an artist and like a business person. And sometimes I feel like, it can take away from your artistry because A, you haven't got as much time to work on it, but B, like promoters can see you more as like a business person when you're like kind of going back and forth on email about like, you know, business type things and fees and contracts and this and that. And I feel like there's like sometimes like a bit of tension between you and the promoter, and then I feel like, that can affect the way they see you as like an artist. So I think that I'm, learning that it's probably better to have a booking agent, but I think that it's been an important thing for me to do and go and do on my own, just to like kind of see, just kind of having a little bit of like a reset, I guess, and just seeing where I fit and like what's next for me.
I reckon that's a really awesome answer, right? Like, because you look at that, and then normally what it is a buffer. Yeah. Because in a normal traditional relationship, you know this. If I'm managing you, you'll come to me and you'll say, this is the fee that I would like to get.
Yeah.
I work with the promoter. We go back and forth. We argue. That's traditionally how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they say why they don't think they should pay that. I say why they should think they should pay that. And then realistically, it's guided by the artist. Like, that's the truth.
And on the other end, I'm just like a little like happy artist DJ that doesn't have to, like, I'm just like, hey, I'm here to play. Like, nothing was, I had no input on the business side of it.
And then you roll up and you get to be the good guy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like that buffer, but like doing it and coming into a space where you're doing it yourself and going back and forward is not the traditional model, but such a cool thing for a DJ at your caliber to experience, regardless if you decide to do it or you don't, you know, like, just so you know. Yeah. So the next time when you do
Kyle
set it
taught
again.
Me well.
He taught you well. Yeah. He loves a good argument. Other than doing that, taking yourself on, you're always looking to do different things. You're always sort of pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
You've just joined up with a local Melbourne legend, Mr. Sammy LaMarca, for doubles. Balls?
Double-sided tape.
Double-sided tape. Sorry, guys. I called it double-sided before.
So double pulse. So Sammy and I have been friends for a long time, like 7 years, and I don't really play back-to-back with people like Bella Claxton. I do our back-to-backs, which I love because I do find it easier going back-to-back with a girl usually. But Sammy, I don't know. We're cut from the same cloth. Like we're literally the boy-girl version of each other. And the partnership just works so well, and there's never any like, oh, I need to play the bigger track than you. Like, oh, it's just everything just works, and there was so much consideration and care for each other that it's a really special little duo that we've got happening.
And so how did the idea even come about?
I think we just all randomly had played a few back-to-backs in the past, like one at Tramp like 5 or 6 years ago, and then like, here or there, like I jumped on with him at Revs one time, and then obviously the couple of kick-ons here and there.
Sammy loves a kick-on.
Oh yeah. And then eventually we're like, let's start a duo, and like it can be a way of similar styles to what we play solo, but a bit more refined and traditionally more just like faster kind of tribe, techno, trance. It's like it's a certain genre. Like I can't really know how to describe it exactly, but it is different to what we're doing solo. It's a way to be able to do something together, like have a bit more fun and open up a new avenue of a different sound for us.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Sammy, like anyone who knows him knows that he just loves to DJ. Like I reckon if you could do 20 hours every single weekend, he would.
100%.
And I actually went to high school with him, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, so I was at the back end of high school when he was in like year 7. And from like early days, like from all the kids I knew, he just fucking loved to DJ. Like
he just loves it. Like he's playing 5 to 6 gigs a weekend. Like he's just so good as well. Like I've never seen anyone play like him before. Yeah,
and he's just super, super passionate, right? So like you guys, what's the future of that look like, Double Pulse?
So right now we're like, there's a few options of potential agencies that we might be joining. So we're just kind of going through that right now. We didn't really know that it was going to like take off. We weren't really sure what was going to happen, but yeah.
I actually was there the first one you did at Turbo.
Oh, true. Yeah. That was really good. Yeah, that was a fun party.
I wasn't random. I knew you guys were playing. I was like, fuck, I'll come check it out. But I was actually, I was there.
Did I see?
Yeah. You did see me, yes.
Oops.
You sort of rolled in, and we myself and Mango walked you straight to the decks because it was in the middle. Yeah,
it's really intense in there though. Like everyone around the decks, like it's quite overwhelming, but it's a good party.
It's fucking cool as hey, like
really
it's in
cool.
These like, and that when you look up and you see all the buildings,
I know.
It's so sick. It's probably my favorite spot at the moment. Like when I go to places, that's where I go check out.
True.
Obviously, Mango's loud boy, so that's why. But a little bit of favoritism.
I love Mango as well. He's like one of the people that, when you get a good promoter to work with, not that they're not good, but like easy and just, I don't know, we just really get along, and the communication and like the booking side of things with him was just so like that was like made me be like, okay, you know, some people you just like get along with and you're the same as, and others it's harder. But yeah, he's just so great to work with.
He's been doing it a long, long time. So you're looking at doing agency and stuff like that. What gigs wise, are you going to go into the festival space again? Are you going to keep it like small and intimate? Like what's your sort of thought process there?
Yeah, I think the thought process with Double Pulse is like more kind of outdoor festivals. Like I feel like the Laura King brand doesn't really, I wouldn't necessarily get booked for like a doof. Even though I do play like psychedelic sounds, I feel like Double Pulse really embodies that kind of psychedelic outdoor kind of Australian bush doof sound, and obviously would love to go international as well. And there's a few other little things in the works, like potentially a little Sri Lanka tour. So yeah, I think that the idea of Double Pulse is definitely the festival kind of scene.
And Sammy, like he embodies the bush doof.
He does. He is the bush doof.
Yeah, he is a bush doof. his whole mantra is a bush doof.
Literally.
Yeah, cool. So like other than that, when I say crazy, I actually mean like, you know, everything's gone wrong or it's sketchy as. Is there sort of like a story you can think of where you're like, well, how the fuck am I here? But not in a way of like thousands and thousands of people or some big stage, but just something that's gone completely wayward.
Well, I don't know if anyone ever noticed this but they can now when they look back on the video, but Picnic Electronic in the bowl, and they were recording the whole set, so the full set's on YouTube. I accidentally pressed pause instead of cue on the track, and so everything just stopped and was just like dun, 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 for like what felt like half an hour, but I think it was only a few seconds. But yeah, I was mortified. It's like it's really hard to come back from that mid-set when you're so shaken up by making such a mistake. So yeah, that was pretty devastating. But yeah, when I look back on the video, like it literally was a split second, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, in the moment, it felt like my world was ending.
And how many people were there at the time?
Like 5,000.
I don't think anyone would have noticed it.
Surely.
Oh, DJs, when they would have been sitting there going, did you hear that?
Yeah, like, the career's over.
So good. So reflecting back in the last 7 years, right? You've done all these amazing things. Like what does the dance music industry mean to you?
Well, it's actually my 10 years of DJing.
10 years, there you go.
Yeah, 10 years of DJing. But like I guess, yeah, more professionally, more like 7 years. So what does dance music mean to me? It's just everything. I don't know. I've really have embraced it fully, like since I left full-time work in 2019. Obviously COVID, we don't count those years. But from like 2023 till now, I've really just embraced being an artist, and everything I do, like dance music is at the forefront of everything that I do, because I love, like it's work, but I want to do something that I love every day. Like I'm not saying it's not hard. Like I have at least one spiral a week. But yeah, I just live and breathe it. I think it's so special in so many ways. Like it connects people, it makes people happy in such a time and such a world where so many things are, you know, upsetting and so many bad things happening. It's just like those little moments in time where people just don't have to think, and it's just like pure happiness, and it's just healthy.
It goes back to that dance floor thing, right? Where no one cares who or what you are. It's like we're there for one reason and one reason only, and it's to have a good time and to sort of separate from the world, almost like a meditation thing.
It's my therapy for sure.
Fuck, and like for anyone who doesn't do it, like people will be like, oh, you know, grow out of it. I've said it before, but people are like, no, you grow out of it. I'm like, man, I don't give a fuck who you are. If I drop you in the middle of a dance floor, the 7,000 people going nuts, you're feeling it. Yeah,
you're feeling it. You can't not, like, it truly soothes my soul. Like DJing.
And I feel like if you grow out of it, you're missing out. Yeah, like 100%. So people go, oh, you know, I've grown up, I've got different, you know, things I would need to worry about. But at the same time, for me, it's like I believe you're choosing not to, and I actually think it's a loss to that person. Yeah. Because music, same as me, I think it feeds everybody's soul. I think it's something embodies us, and there's a reason why we all dance. Yeah. I often think about aliens if they ever came down and they saw you playing at Picnic Electronica. Well, they'd be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, let's pull up here for sure.
They'd probably jump with the crowd.
But I guess the thing is, like, it is heavily associated with drugs and alcohol. So I guess that's where that comes into, like, oh, you know, I need to stop partying, like I need to settle down. Like it is hard when that's the mentality, especially in Australia, of, you know, you get to a certain age and it's like, you know, best to buy a house and have children, and that means, you know, you can't party. And because, traditionally partying is when you relax and you get wasted and you have a good time. But if you can find that balance of not associating it so much with that, like, yeah, definitely have a few drinks, of course, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I've been playing around a lot lately with like pretty big sober stints this year, and it's been, interesting and hard, but also like surprisingly weird that you just really don't need it if you love the music.
I'm with you. Like I go to most shows sober, which will blow people's minds. People always constantly offer me the bag, and I'm like, I actually don't do that.
Yeah.
But there are people. I'm like, but even now, I just stopped drinking. And I saw Charlie Sparks at fucking Dream State, and I was like, this is sick. You know, I watched the whole thing, and I went to that Intercell party recently with VTSS.
Yeah, that looked sick.
I went there for like half an hour. I ended up staying there for 5 hours. Didn't have one beer. Like, but I just think that people, it's almost like the commitment to go to something and not drink it or do drugs.
It's just a habit.
And I think once you break it, you realize, okay, once I'm there, I'm going to have an awesome time. And I feel like I'm driving home, which I know sounds so weird to people, but I'm like, I'm on a high. Like,
you're on a high.
I'm like, that was fucking awesome. And I always 100%. Dread going there. And like, once I'm there, I'm loving it. Once I leave, I loved it. But it's like, I understand that dreading of going there. When you're not DJing, what are you doing for fun?
What do I do for fun?
DJ.
I love making music as well. So I'm like really heavily into producing. I actually started producing before I started DJing. So I did like an electronic music course in Geelong, and I was always just tinkering with it. But DJing just came more naturally, and just like it's easier as well. Like it's more fun. Like it's just like very physical and hands-on, whereas producing is very much like in your room on your computer. Like
it's a solo journey almost.
It is a solo journey, but it's a huge part of it, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Like I love, it's that same kind of flow state as DJing. It's like sitting at your computer and making music. Like I love it. And I've been releasing a lot more music recently. Like had an original release a few months ago. Then I just released a remix on Selected Berlin. So that's my goal, is just to incorporate all of it. DJing is just as much important as being a producer, and vice versa. They're different things, but they can be combined, but both hold just as much value.
So I almost forgot, but you actually have something that's fucking super cool and has a bit of a story here that you're going to give away on this podcast. So firstly, before we do it, we talked about the metric. We're going to pop up a post on social media, but also too on YouTube. If you comment below on this video for Laura King about what you thought about this interview, you're going to go on the running to win what Laura's about to talk about. So Laura, run us through what you bought here.
All right. So I have a bag of records. I don't know if I should grab them.
Yeah, grab them.
They're so heavy.
Maybe I'll grab them for you.
Yeah. Maybe you can just pull out a couple of random ones. Just for
so here you go, guys. And it actually is heavy. I lifted them up the stairs.
Because some of them are like got, I think, 3 to 4 records in there because they're albums.
Yeah, we like when I bought them up, I was like, fuck, these are heavy.
Bring everything.
Yeah.
And maybe sit back to where you were, Laura.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So here's a couple of the records.
Steve Stoll. You'll recognize some of these names, I reckon.
I can't wait to dig through them after. So run us through what this is and why these are so special.
Okay, so is this in a good spot?
Yep, a great spot.
Okay. And should I look at the camera when I talk? Does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I haven't been looking off everywhere. Okay, cool. So these records, Richie McNeil, who's the owner of Hardware, he gave me these records, which have come from his record store, which he opened in the late 90s with Willie Tell, and the collection is huge. And
it's called Hardware Records. So that's been brought up so many times. If anyone doesn't know, Richie Manu, I'm going to get you on. I'll keep asking, but he's there and he's here and there, and
he's got a big story to tell.
He's one of the OGs, but probably 100%. One of the most influential people to ever work in Australian 100%. Dance music.
Yeah.
So they own this record shop, and he gives you these records.
Yeah, so he owns this record store, and then I think the record store ran for about 6 years, and it was like a massive creative rave hub for Melbourne. And a lot of the records that he got were actually straight from the distributors. So he'd listen to them, and who else was working in the store at the time would listen to them and decide whether they want to actually take the record, go to production with the record and make bulk. So usually just get 10 samples, have a listen, and then if they love them, they'll go to production with bulk. So some of the records that he has are literally only 10 of them ever made, and they're all white labels with there's some of them in there, a little pamphlet, and it's handwritten who it's by and what style the track is. Anyway, so he goes through all these records and obviously has way too many for any one person, and he gives me about 1,000 records. And these records are just some of them absolute gems. It's everything from minimal house to trance to tribal to hard house to hard trance, such a wide variety of genres. And I've just been sifting through them, and some a lot resonate with me, but some don't. And they're in mint condition because they're straight from the shop. Like they're literally never been played before, and they're all everything from early 90s to like early 2000s. So like, yeah, really.
And there's probably like 40 or 50 records in here, I reckon.
Yeah, there's a lot of records in there. Like that is just like a fraction of what he gave me. But yeah, so this is a nice little chunk that I want to give away to someone because Richie never wanted to sell them. He wanted to just give them to someone who would love them and appreciate them. So yeah, I'm going to do a little giveaway. And
I rate that. Like when you hit me about this probably like 3 months ago, you're like, hey, I got all these records. It's a special story. It's like, it's very much like in tune with what you're doing, the whole culture of like the history of dance.
And these were in these records were in a Melbourne store in the late 90s. Like it's just so cool.
And the guys who own that store are arguably the most influential people in the techno scene to ever come out of Melbourne in the 90s. Like without those guys, the techno scene probably doesn't become the scene that you play in, right?
No, absolutely not.
So we're giving these away. It's fucking awesome. I'm getting actually goosebumps. I might steal one or two.
You can have a look through.
Laura, lastly, I just want to before we wrap this up, I just want to say thank you for being such a trailblazer. You come in, you just do things unapologetically. You're an absolute queen, even though your last name's King, and you dominate and you give a different sense of a way to play and for people to consume music. You're always at the forefront pushing things with Overdrive, Dreamland, All Day Laura King, and you're inspiring young women to move into this scene. We're getting more and more of them, which is so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And girls like you, who are probably one of the top tier girls in Australia to do it and just continually pushing that boundary. Younger girls who are watching this, younger girls who are involved in the scene, they're looking up to girls like you and Bella and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that it's possible and they can take their dream to reality.
Definitely.
Because you guys took that risk. So I just want to say thank you from everybody and everybody who's going to be inspired from you and everyone who is inspired from you. I'm older than you and I'm inspired from you. So thank you so much for coming down and thank you so much for telling your story with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.
Bye.